the regions. B, data is automatically replicated within a region. C, data is replicated only if versioning is enabled for the bucket. D, data is automatically backed up on tape and restored if needed.
There is an option.
Who's this?
Okay.
Zaheb, which one?
Option C.
You're breaking up.
Zohib, can you type?
Yeah, you can type. Anybody else want to try?
I think it's B. It's replicated within a region.
Who's this?
Junaid, sir.
Junaid, okay.
It could be wrong.
Yeah, absolutely right. So every time you create a bucket, it's automatically replicated to the same region. Number 8.
Based on the following Amazon Simple Storage Service Amazon S3 URL, which one of the following statements is correct? The object myfile.doc is stored in the folder X in the bucket bucket1.abc.com. The object is stored in the bucket bucket1.abc.com. C, the object folder X/myfile.doc is stored in the bucket bucket1.abc.com. D, the object myfile.doc is stored in the bucket bucket1.
So first thing, look at the URL. And the last prefix is the folder x/myfile.com. So in between, what is this and what is before that? As before the S3, what is this name and what is the last these through prefix? What that means? So consider in these two areas.
Sir, I think the answer is A.
Yes, A.
Who's this? Maheen?
Sajda.
And Maheen.
And Sajda Maheen say A. Oh, anybody else?
Yes, sir. I think it's A.
Okay. Anybody else? Zaheb, what?
Is it A?
Okay. Any other person wanna try? So think about an object. So you store object in a folder, right? For example, is my file is like a document, and that document is stored in a folder. What would be this for object name? Don't you think the object name will also include the folder name as well? Because that's a hierarchy, like in the folder. Then in the folder you have a document.
सर ये आई थिंक पहले असाइनमेंट्स में भी आया था शायद, if I can recall.
So you have folder. In that folder you have a document. If I want to tell somebody where this file is, don't you think I will include the folder name and the file name as well? अगर मैं कहूँगा अली ये document ABC is in a folder called folder name is my folder. तो मैंने इसको अगर लोकेशन बतानी है तो मैं क्या बताऊंगा? I don't you think I'm going to tell the folder name is this and then the document name is this, right? The whole this part is part of the object.
Then it would be C.
Who's this?
Sajda.
Yes, Sajda, you're absolutely right. So see, the first part is the name of the bucket up to this level. and this is the part of the object. So answer is C. Okay.
सर फोल्डर जब हम लोग नॉर्मल किसी चीज में यूआरएल हम जब डालते हैं तो उसमें भी इस तरह आता है, तो वो फोल्डर की अलग से मतलब बात हो रही है. आई मीन द ऑप्शंस वर कंफ्यूजिंग. बात तो समझ आ गई आपकी, बट आई थिंक जो ऑप्शन ए है वो भी थोड़ा सा आई डोंट नो रेलेवेंट नहीं है, बिकॉज इट सेज कि फोल्डर का नाम है ये. तो हम भी तो यही कह रहे हैं कि ये फोल्डर है एंड देन वो ऑब्जेक्ट है. ऑब्जेक्ट जो है वो तो सिर्फ वो फाइल है ना.
No, read the statement. Say the object myfile.doc sorry .doc is stored in the folder in the bucket bucket1.abc.com. So in the C says it's object folder / the complete name is written here. Right, so what he's trying to say, these are not a separate thing. See here you put the folder one and the my file. I understand what you're saying. But the answer they were looking for, you understand how the object are recognized in the URL. So whenever you look at this kind of URL, the last part which include the folder and the file or document is going to be object. So you cannot do this separate thing. That's what I'm saying. It's not a separate thing. It's a part of these. Every time if you have to recognize, you said, okay, this is the object, from here to here is object, and this is the bucket name. So this kind of question you will see, this a little bit confusing, very similar, looks like the same, but they are looking for exact answer.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why they give you multiple choice. The reason you will see is okay, एक ही मतलब निकल रहा है, लेकिन they are focused on the how you interpret this URL. Okay, go ahead.
To have a record of who accessed your Amazon Simple Storage Service S3 data and from where, you should do what? A. Enable versioning on the bucket. B. Enable website hosting on the bucket. C. Enable server access logs on the bucket. D. Create an AWS identity and access management IAM bucket policy. E. Enable Amazon Cloud Watch logs.
I think the answer would be E.
Who's this?
Sajda again.
Sajda. Okay. Anybody else?
Sir, is it D?
Okay. What is asking actually in this question? What's the keyword?
Who accessed your
Access,
data and from where?
Okay.
Yeah, access.
Let's see. You are living in an apartment and you have a security guard at the entrance. So what he's doing, because the process is this, everybody who come into your apartment or your building, they have to inform at the front desk, and the front desk are going to put down his name and whatever the requirement is, and then he will allow to come to your apartment. So what the security guard is doing, he's creating a log of the visitors, right? He has a register, he's maintaining who came in and who get out of the building. So that kind of information they are looking for. So accessed, record of who accessed, record of who accessed, that's the keyword, the record.
So is it access logs then? So enable
Exactly.
service access logs.
Exactly, that's correct. Remember in the CloudWatch we learned two things. One is called the access, who came in, who made the changes, who logged in, those kind of information. And the second is we were talking about the metrics, how the system is performing. That with call cloud trail, right? Cloud trail and the cloud performance. We were looking into this. So trail is something else, and the performance is something else. In the trail part, we see who came in, who logged in, who changed the configuration. इस तरह के कोई भी जाके किसी भी सिस्टम के अंदर कुछ भी चेंज कर ले, कैसे पता चलेगा किसने कौन लॉग इन हुआ था, कितने बजे हुआ था, उसने कौन सी चेंजेस की हैं. So all these kind of information is going to be logged, and that is called logged file. Here is asking okay, who try to access to the S3 bucket. So every time I logged in as a name, when I'm going to access S3, it's going to have all the information. Name was logged in and such date and such time, and he made that changes to the document or anything in S3 buckets. So that kind of information is going to be logged when you have this feature enabled on the S3 bucket. That's interesting question. Let's see the people who has done this exercise, I think they can answer better.
Then, what are some of the reasons to enable cross-region replication on an Amazon S3 bucket? Choose to answer. A, you want a backup of your data in case of accidental deletion. 2, you have a set of users or customers who can access the second bucket with lower latency. C, for compliance reasons, you need to store data in a location that is at least 300 miles away from the first region. D, your data needs at least 5 nines of durability.
A, I think, for sure. And B?
Yes, I also think it's A and B.
A and B. Okay, anyone else?
Sir, is it A and C?
Okay, part of the answer is correct.
So, sir, is the part C or is it part A?
C is correct.
Then it is B and C.
That's absolutely right. So remember, we say, let's say you have a company office in Australia. So in order to provide the low latency to their user in Australia, that's the first reason you're going to replicate. The second reason is this, there's the company's pulse. Many companies in the world, when they have, especially like the critical data, they have a requirement. Remember I showed you there's a lot of compliance organization and 30 like a HIPAA and all those things, ISO 9000. So this is the company compliance requirement. You must have a duplicate of your data, copy of your data 300 miles away from the region. So this could be the other thing, the company going to follow the compliance. And the very first reason is the latency for the people in a geographical location of the different offices. Let's see who answered this question. It's very interesting.
11. Your company requires that all data sent to the external storage be encrypted before being sent. Which Amazon S3 encryption solution will meet this requirement? A, server-side encryption with AWS managed keys. B, SSC with customer-provided keys, SSEC. Client-side encryption with customer-managed keys. D. Server-side encryption with AWS Key Management Service. Keys.
So what is the keyword here?
External storage and encrypted. Sorry.
Go ahead. What was that? Storage what?
I said external storage
Okay.
and encryption.
Okay. Any other word?
Encryption solution with it. Solution.
Okay. Any other word? So we understand the company want to encrypt their data, right? That's the first thing. But there's a keyword which going to help you to lead to the right answer. You are missing that question, that keyword.
Is it
Encryption before
it's being
sending?
sent?
Exactly. Before being sent. That will help you to answer this question.
Then it would be D.
I think it's D.
Why?
Because it is a server-side encryption,
Okay. So
which is managed with the AWS key.
Just hold on. Do you understand the difference between server and client?
Yes, the client is the end destination and the server is the origin.
So client is sending the data to the server. So say storage be encrypted before being sent. So some things you need to do on this side before sending to the server.
C then?
That's absolutely right. So see, they said before being sent. So before sending means that you have a control here. So you have to encrypt the data on the client side before sending to the server. So answer is C. So see, sometimes you have to pay attention to the question. The answer is already given in these keywords. Oh, this question is not relevant anymore because it made the changes to the bucket. Okay, I also want to say because we are moving to the end of this course, that's why I'm spending more time on the question part and little time on the other topics. From the next week, we're going to start the VPC, and that will take like at least 4 classes just to cover the VPC part. So that's why I'm moving slow toward the web services and focusing more on this question answer. Okay, go ahead.
Sorry. What is needed before you can enable cross-region replication on an S3 bucket? A. Enable versioning on the bucket. B. Enable a lifecycle rule to migrate data on the second region. C. Enable static website hosting. D. Create an AWS identity and access management policy to allow Amazon S3 to replicate objects on your behalf.
Sir, is it A and C?
Anmol, part of the answer is correct. So we have bucket here.
Sir, is it C and D?
C and D?
Sorry, sir, is it D?
No, as you said, one thing is what is the two answer? Right? What is two answers? Give me both.
A and D.
Yeah, that's correct. You have to have enable versioning, and the second thing, when two buckets talk to each other, replication means they are talking to each other, right? So this bucket and this bucket, they are talking to each other. So this is London, and this is Australia. So they are replicating. So this is source and this is destination. So in order to talk to each other, they need some sort of permission, and that permission is being given by the IAM service. So I remember I show you like there could be the sources talking to each other, and they also need this bucket need a permission on this bucket, so they can upload or download the all the data to this destination. So we have to enable IAM access policy on the S3 bucket. And where is this? So this is correct. So number 14.
Number 14. Your company has 100 terabyte of financial records that need to be stored for 7 years by law. Experience has shown that any record more than 1 year is unlikely to be accessed. Which of the following storage plans meets these needs in the most cost-efficient manner? A. Store the data on Amazon EBS volumes attached to T2 microinstances. B. Store the data on Amazon S3 with lifecycle policies that change with the storage class to Amazon Glacier after 1 year and delete the object after 7 years. C. Store the data in Amazon Dynamo DB and run daily script to delete data older than 7 years. D. Store the data in Amazon Elastic MapReduce.
Sir, I think it is B.
B?
Yes, I also think it's B.
So what was the keywords which led you to the B?
It says that any record more than 1 year is unlikely to be accessed. That means you can store it in some deep storage device that does not need to be accessed frequently.
Yeah, that's correct.
Amazon Simple Storage Service S3 bucket policies can restrict access to an Amazon S3 bucket and objects by which of the following? Choose 3 answers. A. The name, B. IP address range, C. AWS account, D. Country of origin, E. Objects with a specific prefix.
What I think is B, D, and E.
B, D, and E. Okay. One is wrong.
Sir, is it B, C, D?
No. One is wrong again.
Then it is C, D, E, I guess. If one is wrong.
Sir, is it ABC?
All of you are telling one is wrong.
Sir, is it A, B, and D?
No.
Okay.
B, C, and E.
B, C, and
E.
yeah, Zuhair, you are correct. So you can control the access by providing the range of IP address. You have to do AWS count is the must-have things, and the E is like objects with a specific prefix. So you can actually control in the bucket policy. You can define these parameters.
Amazon S3 is an eventually consistent storage system. For what kinds of operations is it possible to get stale data as a result of eventual consistency? Choose 2 answers. A. Get after put of a new object. B. Get or list after a delete. C. Get after overwrite put to an existing key. D. Delete after put of a new object.
So do you remember what is eventual consistency? So remember, when you upload the data to any bucket, so you do two functions, put and get. So what the difference between put and get? Put mean post, upload, and the get mean download, right? So these two options you have, or read. So get mean these two things. So what happened when you put the first time you put the object into the bucket, and then you go use this get operation. For example, Ali just posted this picture, right? This image, and then Maheen go and she access the bucket and do the get operation. She will see the picture right away. What if Ali do this like delete operation on this? He going to delete the picture, and then Maheen goes and do the get operation. She might not get the image. She might get the image still image in the available to her, because this the eventual consistent storage is going to take a while to delete it from the bucket. So if right after that he delete the image and the Maheen try to get operation on it, she might get the picture. But after a while, after 2 or 3 minutes, and if she goes and do the get operation, then she might not get this picture. So that is eventual consistency. Same thing if somebody put the if somebody already had this picture, and I go ahead and change upload again the same image, and then Maheen go and apply the get operation, she might get the old version of the image. So that's the eventual, but after a while she might get the latest version. So that's the difference. That is called eventual consistent storage system. So in order to answer the question, what are the two options?
I think B and D.
B and what?
B and D.
Okay, the key word here is that every time to see new object, the new object is not a part of consistency eventually. The only things you already exist in the bucket, you trying to delete or trying to change that object, that's going to be affected by the eventual consistency. So new object will have no effect on it. It's going to right away available. If you delete the new object, it will be right away. You will get the delete answer. So who's this?
So it's C and
B and
so C and
C. Okay, and
D.
Okay, that's correct. See, it's already given get after put of a new object. So new object will right away available, right? So delete or list after a delete. So if you delete the object and then you try to list it, you're trying to see how many objects are there, you might going to see this object there. Again, and the C is a get after overwrite. So every time you have overwrite, you might going to get the stale data. You might going to get the old data for a while. So you have to look into the eventual consistency again. Uh,
17. What must be done to host a static website in an Amazon S3 bucket? Choose 3 answers. A. Configure the bucket for static hosting and specify an index and error document. B. Create a bucket with the same name as the website. C. Enable FTP on the bucket, file transfer protocol. D. Make the objects in the bucket world readable. E. Enable HTTP on the bucket.
Just wanna guess.
Sir, A and E का पता है शायद A and E, and I don't know the third one.
How many answers? 3 correct answers. You said A, and what is that?
A and E.
Okay.
Sir, is it B as well?
That's correct. One more.
So is it C?
No. So C is telling the file transfer FTP protocol. So remember on the bucket you always have HTTP in the URL. And that URL has to be unique in the entire AWS account. So what do you do?
Sir, D?
Yeah, because when you upload the object, right?
So is it D then?
Yeah, because when you upload the object into the file, don't you make it public?
Yes.
So that's the D, right? So make this readable to the world. So A, B, and D.
You have valuable media files hosted on AWS and you want them to be served only to authenticated users of your web application. You are concerned that your content could be stolen and distributed for free. How can you protect your content? A. Use static web hosting. B. Generate pre-signed URLs for content in the web application. C. Use AWS identity and access management policies to restrict access. D. Use logging to track your content.
I think it is C.
No.
Then is it C, sir? Because of the keywords.
I said also C.
Which keywords are referring to C?
Restriction.
Okay. He said the media file hosted on AWS and want them to be served only to the authenticated user. The keyword is the authenticated user. What is authenticated user? Who are the authenticated users?
So is it D?
That's a logging to track your content. That has nothing to do with the access.
Sir, it
Then it
might
is
be
D for
A.
sure.
Which one?
A.
D.
Who said B?
B.
Sajda.
Okay, Sajda is correct. So when you log into remember I gave you example of Netflix and in CDN environment? So once you logged in with username password, you are account holder on this Netflix, and once you logged in, they give you a pre-assigned URL, and that URL telling the rest of the component of the CDN, this is authenticated user, and this is how you can see the content. So it always generates pre-signed URLs for content in the web applications. So it is nothing different than CDN than the having a application in the S3 bucket. So once you logged in, you have been assigned a URL which allow you to browse the S3 bucket. Okay, that's it. Oh, there's one more question. I think two more. Let's finish this.
19. Amazon Glacier is well suited to data that is which of the following? Choose two answers. A is infrequently or rarely accessed. B must be immediately available when needed. C is available after a 3 to 5 hour restore period. D is frequently erased within 30 days.
That should be easy. So keyword is glacier, यानी कि ठंडा. It's not a hot data, it's just a cold data. Remember
Then my answer is A.
Okay. Remember the data temperature terminology?
Yes, sir. It's A and C.
Who's this?
The Maheen.
Yes, absolutely right. So this is the last question.
Which statements about Amazon Glacier are true? Choose 3 answers. A. Amazon Glacier stores data in objects that lives in archives. B. Amazon Glacier archives are identified by user-specified key names. C. Amazon Glacier archives take 3 to 5 hours to restore. D. Amazon Glacier vaults can be locked. E. Amazon Glacier can be used as a standalone service and as an Amazon S3 storage class.
Sir, is it C, D, and E might be?
C. Anmol, you are
Yes, sir.
you're absolutely right. C, D, and E. Okay, let's get started. मैंने रिसेंटली अपने डॉक्टर को विज़िट किया. उसने कुछ मुझे बताया कि मैं होता ये था कि मैं जब आपसे क्लास मैं बोल रहा होता था तो मेरा ब्रेन जो है ना वो सम टाइम गेट टायर्ड सो क्विकली. सो उन्होंने मुझे कहा कि कोशिश करो कि तुम बेशक ज़्यादा क्लासेस कर लो लेकिन इसको ना शॉर्ट रखो. अगर मैं यानी कि थक जाता हूँ आधे घंटे बाद या 1 आवर तो इसको छोटा रख लो. लेकिन दिया एनकरेज मी कंटिन्यू दिस. और दूसरा ये था इसलिए मैंने इसको डेलीगेट कर देता हूँ आपको किसी एक को कि यू रीड द क्वेश्चन एंड आंसर द क्वेश्चन. तो अभी मेरा जो लेटेस्ट रिपोर्ट आई है उनके मुताबिक मेरा हार्ट जो है ना वो 30% काम कर रहा है. तो दे से इट विल टेक अ व्हाइल. इवेंचुअली द मैक्सिमम आई कैन गो अप टू द 40 या 45%. एक दफ़ा आपको हार्ट अटैक हो जाए तो फिर वो जो मसल डैमेज होते हैं उसको रिकवर होने में टाइम भी लगता है और इट्स नॉट गोइंग टू बी रिकवर लाइक अप टू 60%. या वैसे भी कहते हैं ह्यूमन हार्ट जो है नॉर्मल इंसान का भी 100% पे काम नहीं कर रहा होता. दिस वर्किंग लाइक अराउंड 80% समथिंग लाइक दैट. तो वो मेरे प्रॉब्लम चल रहा था मेरे साथ तो इसलिए मैं आपको डेलीगेट कर रहा था ये सारी चीज़ें कि कोई और क्वेश्चन पढ़े. In the meantime, I'm going to split it one topic into multiple classes. So this is all because of the health situation. So let's get started. आज हम पढ़ेंगे कि what is the routing policies. The following routing policies are available with Route 53. So everybody should know what is Route 53. It's a DNS services offered by the AWS web services. So in this they have given a different way of routing your traffic on using the DNS services. Remember when we were using the elastic load balancer, that was totally different. There we have a different instance and we were distributing the traffic with the different criteria like 80% to 30% CPU utilization, all those kind of things, and the number of requests per server. So same thing is here, but here they're using the DNS servers, and DNS services is going to resolve. You can have two kind of domain name. One is called public domain name and the other is called private domain name. Let's see if I have application hosted in AWS environment और local जो user हैं वो they are trying to access my application. So they can use the DNS name of the application once you install the application on EC2 instance, and then you have two way of accessing that application. One is the IP address, the other is called DNS name. If you remember, when we created the EC2 instance, there is always a private IP address, public IP address, and the DNS name of that specific EC2 instance. Similarly, we have seen the things with S3 bucket. When you create the S3 bucket and make it public, it gives you a HRL with the HTTP URL. So that means you can access that S3 bucket using the that URL, which is also unique on the AWS account. Then they give a different way of routing. So let's look at them one by one. So what is simple routing policy? If you choose the simple routing policy, you can only have one record with multiple IP address. So record means that you have created the A record, IPv4 record in the system, and you can attach 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 IP address to one record. What that means, let me show you in this. So this is the user trying to use Route 53 and trying to access these two EC2 instances. Okay, and these two EC2 instances have IP addresses, and they also have a DSN name. So let's say user is using the DNS name, and the Route 53 is going to resolve that name into the IP address because it has all the data. So what's going to happen? The Route 53 randomly going to pick any of the server, because both of these servers, those instances, are running the same application. So it's going to randomly pick any of them. First one or the second one, it is no predetermined route. So this is called simple routing, right? So let's go to the only problem with this demo is this: I don't have no, not this one. Oh, this. Also, if you are interested, when you go on the Route 53, they have given a very short video, like 1 or 2 minutes, no, maybe 1 minute, 1:30. Yeah, 1.5 minutes. So it explains the same thing I explained to you yesterday, what is Route 53 is. You can look at this. They also given the different product under the Route 53. You can do health check. You can host a website. You can traffic flow. We'll look into that as well. Resolver. Remember I show you your ISP, Internet Service Provider, can be resolver. So here you create like any hosted zone. I say my just fake website, right? My website, and same description here, and I create hosted zone. It should be unique. That's what it's saying. So my website. Let's see, my biz website. Okay, this is already used. 1, 2, 3. Okay, what? Invalid. Okay, my test. Domain name invalid character or in the valid. Okay, so let's move this one. What is invalid? This is name of the domain that you want to route. The name invalid character. Okay. So the moment I create this, and if I go to host zone, I have two websites. So see, this is the previous one where I use this. Let's go look into this. So it's created two record, name server record and start of authority record. So simple is this: when you create a record, and see here the routing policy, you said I want the simple routing. So you select this one, and then you provide this kind of information. So time to live is going to live this in the cache for 300 minutes, which is 5 minutes. So if I leave like this, so I'm going to create a simple routing for the A record. So routing is simple, and the record type is A, which is for IP4. Oh, I have to provide their address like anything. I mean 123.15.60.2. So I just picked this IP address. It has no value because I cannot do anything. I just want to show you how do we create this one. So now we have created one more record. So with this record, every time I try to route my traffic, they will be using this record and going to route the traffic to the concerned resources. Could be S3 or could be a server, ES server. So this is how we create the record. This is a demo just to show you how to create the record, and this I created one record. So let's do the next one. So here is the next routing policy. It's called weighted routing policy. Allow you split your traffic based on different weights assigned. So you can have a different server in different zone, and you configure, you say I want the 30% traffic will go to US East region and the 70% traffic will go to the US West region. So these kind of mechanism, you can configure this on the AWS F53 route. In that, the reason we do this, control the percent of requests that go to specific endpoint. So you know the your capacity on that particular region. So in this region, you would see you have only one server, for example. So you want to send only 30% traffic. And here you might have more than one instances. You have 5-6 instances. So you say because they can handle more requests, so you can divert traffic, 70% traffic to this instance. It's very simple, straightforward. So why is it happening? Because sometimes you have we call development environment. In the development environment, when somebody is developing any application and they need access to that system to upload their code and to test their codes. So for that environment, for example, they have a couple of servers there and they are using that for development and testing. So in that case, they can define how much traffic they should be sending to that server. So you can split the development and the testing environment. Second is helpful to can be associated with health check. So when you create the weighted policy, it gives you option. Then before sending the request to that resources, they're going to do the health check. So in simple, when I created the simple one, and if I create a record once more time, this show, see, it's not giving me any health check options here. It says you have to define the routing policy. If I select simple, there's no health check. If I select like weighted, see, now I have an option for the health check. So it is the same thing. I going to create the one more record, and this time this record is for the routed policy. I have to provide the IP address, and the same thing here, and then I have to say attach this health policy. I have to create the health policy first, and here you can assign the if I have any IP address, for example EC2.123.124.80.2, and I say I want this server, this instance, for example 20%, weight is 20%, and also I'm going to attach the health policy and going to create the create the record for this, and then I come back and provide the IP address of another server and give that server like 80%, and this is how the Route 53 going to send all the traffic with those IP address according to the weight. So this is about the weighting things. And then we have latency based routing. So you have like a Europe, US and Asia Pacific, Hong Kong. You have your server sitting there, and then user is trying to reach to any of these services. And the Route 53, if you have created the record for the latency based routing, then it's going to look at the latency of these regions. So let me show you how we're going to test the real latency. I have here. So this is the website. See, say AWS latency test. So if I run this test, it was giving me the real time latency on this region, all of the region they have so far. So let's do a test. I'm going to start the test on the right side. This is the website called ping.psa.fun. So I'm going to do this and see how they're going to, right now, see, every region is 300, how much? Almost 4,000 millisecond. So let's see what happened. Now it's performing the test. So this value is going to change. So what happened, the companies, they do the different kind of test, and once they perform this test, on the basis of the test, they know what is happening in what region. So let's see, what is this? This is a latency Africa, Cape Town. So this is like South Africa. So lowest one is US East North at the moment. So they have 51 millisecond of latency. So look at this, China, Beijing, 339. So 339 millisecond you need to access to. If you have a server in Beijing, this much latency going to cost you. And this one is Canada, okay. And the lowest one I see, these are two, like US East Ohio 52, and this one is 51. But if I come back after 1 hour, so things has been changed. Things will be changed. You might not get US East latency is 56% now. It was like 51 before. Now G is moving. So it's ever changing things. So what happened? The Route 53 is going to look into this. The way it does is you trying to reach these web servers, and it's going to test the latency first. and then on the basis of the result is going to pick the lowest latency instance, and with the lowest they're going to direct the traffic to the server which has low latencies, right? Any question? Okay, so showing you let's, so now I can pick like latency based. So for the when I select the latency base, it's going to give me the region. I have to select the regions, right? So I say let's, and you can also attach the health check with this IP address, and I can create another record on the basis of this record ID. So I have to provide this information. So this is what exactly, this is how you can do the latency selection from this one. I have to provide the record ID as well. So the reason I cannot show you this because I have to have a domain name first, which I have to buy from them, and then I have to configure all this. And obviously this is not your job. This is system administration will be doing this. So you have to understand what are the features are available and how this what this routing means. Actually, that's important thing. Then we have failover routing. So in the failover routing, let's see, you have a server in Europe, Milan. Where's the Milan? In, I think it's Italy, right?
Yes.
Okay, Milan is Italy or in France?
It's Italy. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's Italy.
Okay. So again, the same request going to Route 53, and the Route 53 have two servers. One is called active, and the one is called passive. So what the difference between active and passive? Passive is like another word, could standby. If this system fails here, because Route 53, when you select the failover, this, and you have option for the health check, is checking the health of these two systems all the time, pinging them all like continuously. So if it detect the one system is failed, that all the traffic will be diverted to the Hong Kong servers. So then we have a geolocation routing. Geolocation routing lets you choose the resourcing to serve your traffic. Which one is this? Is this my desktop or what? No, this is not desktop. That's why I'm having a problem. Okay. So I say my animation was not working, so it was because, yeah, the color should be changed, and I noticed something wrong. I'm using the web one. So here is a geolocation. Anyone guess what is the purpose of geolocation routing? Why I want to route to different region? Anyone want to guess? I have given this
Can you repeat the question?
No, it's not a question. Say,
Is it because like there might be something, like there might be specific needs? So like say for example, there might be certain things that are trending in the UK but not in Asia. Say for example.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So you see, it's you can localize your content of your website by using language. Let's say somebody is trying to log in from the France region. So the website automatically going to be in French, and they are using franc currency. Then all the prices on that website will be in their local currency. Even though it's behind the scene the same company running different e-commerce, but the moment they detect this user is coming from France or Germany or maybe Middle East, it's going to convert that page into the local language and the local currency.
So is that like an example of that? Is like, say for example, if I'm buying a book from Amazon and it automatically directs me to the I think co.uk website rather than the .com, so the currency changes automatically.
Yes, that's right. That's why they call geolocation routing policy. So here's the thing, geolocation, you have a guy in Europe, he's trying to access to the same like e-commerce website, and the website have their server sitting in London and the Hong Kong, and all the traffic from the European will go to the Europe, London, EU West. And if somebody is trying to, oh, this is the wrong one. It's coming from Asia, and that traffic will go to the Asia Pacific as well. So very simple, very straightforward. And then another thing called the geoproxy routing. Geoproximity routing. The geoproximity routing policy allow you to direct traffic based on the geographic location of user and AWS resources. So now it's a little different. I mean, you can specify for example, you have your system, your web server available all over the world. I mean, this is a global company, and they have in the US East, and they have in US West, they have a Germany, they have like a Middle East and Africa. So in this kind of geoproximity routing, you can actually give the numbers. So you say, that's called bias. So you say, I want this traffic to be, if somebody is coming from USA, I want plus 25 or minus 25 in a particular region. So this is actually another way of diverting the traffic to a different region on the basis of the traffic flow. So for this, what they do, if I go here, so I will see traffic policy. But before I show you other things, we tested I'm going to create the record, and this time I'm going to select the geolocation. When I say geolocation, I have to provide this information, right? So you can select as many locations you want. The same thing, you can attach the health check and the same thing. So let's go back, and I say other option, I show you latency. So when you see latency, again, it's going to do the health check. It's going to select the region, and then on the basis of that, in this region, all these data centers latency will be checked before diverting the traffic, and you can create the record basis on the latency. So here is a traffic policy. Now I'm talking about the proximity. So I'm going to create the traffic. I'm going to give the name my tflow. So next, so see here, I am selecting the type of record, and it's giving me what kind of record I want to use. I will say I will use this one, and connect to. Now it's giving me different options. I can design my policy here. I will say geoproximity rules. So in this geoproximity rules, I can be biased to anything. Like I say, use this one, and I am biased to this one, like 27% or 25%, and then connect to endpoint, and this endpoint could be anything. It could be my S3. So if I say value is this minus 11, so I can have the value here, right? Once I select this, you can go down, you can be a plus sign, you can be like 20%. So these are the things that system administrator will be doing. So I just want to show you to see how these geoproximity rules are defined. And you can have another region, and therefore another endpoint, and you can say, okay, for Canada, I want like 99% or 99%, and then you can connect to the geoproximity rule, not proximity. So you have to connect to another endpoint. It could be like your any system. You can have elastic load balancer, you can have elastic bean. By the way, we're going to talk about elastic beanstalk as well. This is another thing I will teach you after the VPC. So here you can see the endpoint, or you can assign the value, and the value you can say, okay, 80% traffic should go there. So this is the configuration. This is how you configure the geoproximity. Okay. So when you assign those kind of numbers, it's going to actually graphical view. It's going to show you the graphs, something like this. The shrinkage, if you go to the minus, the size on the map will be reduced. If you go plus, then it's going to be increased. So multi-value, the multi-valued answer routing is very similar to the simple routing. In this scenario again, you have the two different server, and it's going to randomly pick any of the server. The only difference between multi-answering routing and the simple routing is this: in multi-routing you have option to select the health check. That's the only difference. Let's see. So if I go back and here if I select my hosted zone and select this one, I'm going to create a record, and see that right now I don't have option. If I select the multi-answer, you will see it will giving me the health check option. That's the only difference. It's going to do the random selection of these resources, but with the health check. That's the difference. So this is the summary of this lecture. So elastic load balancer do not have predefined IPv4 address, because we are talking about the DNS addresses here. So that's why even you have elastic load balancer in front of your resources, they will be given a DNS name, and DNS name will be resolved through the Route 53. You can also create an alias record. You can assign any alias to your any domain name. So what, as a solution architect, what you need to remember, you need to remember there is a record type, which is SOA, NS record, A record, C name, and MX record, which is a mail exchanger record. And PTR record is a pointer, is one URL going to point to another URL. So these are different kind of record you can create in DNS hosted zone. On the right hand side, you should remember routing type. There's a simple routing, latency, failover, and the geolocation, geoproximity, and the multi-valued routing. So that's it. If you have any questions, you can ask me now. So far, so good?
Yeah, so you can assign any routing policy or type to any of the DNS types.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Sir, is there supposed to be anything after alias record? And it says understand the difference between alias record and...
Oh yeah, I think it was like a C name.
Okay.
Because both are the same thing. There's a very slight difference. I think I was writing on this and then I stopped for some reason. I missed the C name. So alias is you attach. For example, I gave you example of. Was you in the yesterday class? Did you attend the yesterday class?
No, sir. I was sick.
Yeah. So see, I was showing that if you have a website called m.bisvaria.com, and the M stands for mobile, and maybe somebody is not using m dot, he's completely putting the mobile word, and you can create an alias for that So you said even if somebody use mobile.buzzvaria.com, still it's going to direct the traffic to m.buzzvaria.com. So I will send you my video for editing.
Thank you.
You can watch and you will understand.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So next week I will be doing the review question on EC2. Then at the same time we will be learning the VPC. VPC actually is a big topic and that will take multiple classes. I will go slow and I'm going to define and simplify as much as I can each and every aspect of the VPC, because you will get, I think, more than 40% questions on VPC. And then after that, S3 is very important, and rest of the services are maybe you're going to get 5%, 3%, 4% question in the exam. So the big topic is VPC and also the databases. So databases I'm going to teach in such a way so you can understand from the people who don't have any background in databases. I will start from the very basic how the introduction to the databases and what type of databases are out there and what are the databases available in the web services and what is their use. So I will go in deep dive into that as well. So two topics is very important, databases and VPC, because they are going to give a complete idea and complete picture. If you want to be a specialized, then which direction you should go, what career path you should take after completing this course. You can become a system administrator, you can become a network specialist, you can become a Route 53 specialist. There's so many specializations after this. So as I said at the beginning of this class, this is MBBS course and specialization will come after that. So inshallah, next time I'm thinking I'm going to share some videos about, you already might have watched those. This is my architecture, because Junaid was asking me what my role is going to be as a solution architect, and I'm sure that everyone, you have those kind of questions in your mind, what I will be doing after this course. So I will be sharing the more relevant videos. There's plenty of them, but I will pick those, make you feel what you have learned so far, what is the application of those knowledge and hands-on exercise in the future, and how are you going to design, having what consideration you have into mind and what kind of requirement you can get from the customer, and then you can design the solution for them. So different scenario, different architect. It is very fun videos. You're gonna love it. So any question? And the way you guys are answering those review questions, I am very confident each one of you are going to pass the exam, inshallah. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. Have a wonderful week ahead, and see you next Friday. Take care.
Thank you.
Allah Hafiz. Allah Hafiz.